Hello everyone, welcome to APSWC Knowledge Series. I am Alyssa, Knowledge Transfer Director for Asia Pacific Spa and Wellness Coalition. We are delighted to have Tamara with us sharing about blue zones today, how we can all live longer and better. Tamara is a Spa and Wellness Director with nearly 20 years experience spread across the America, Asia, and the Middle East. Although she is currently enjoying a long-awaited sabbatical after working straight through COVID, she shares her nationalities between sunny South Africa and beautiful Croatia. With a background in fitness, she has been fascinated by the factors that influence the health and well-being of humans around the world and through time, and is always researching and compiling information to try to share with her clients and staff an enhanced experience of the life we live. So the Blue Zones came to her not as a new project, but of one that she has known about for some time. So Tamara, Blue Zones, and Blue Zones over to you, Tamara. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, for that amazing introduction. And I'm happy to be sharing this with you today. Should we get started?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. So the Blue Zones, how to live longer, better, healthy, happier lives. And where are these people living that have such benefits? So if we look at our map here, Dan Buter was one of the first to name the blue zones, and it was simply from them circling the places on a map with a blue pen that they got their name. So if we have a quick look over here, we'll see Okinawa, Japan. We'll start from that side. Here we have some of the oldest centenarians where it's mostly females, which is good for us, Alyssa. Some really good tips to listen to here. Here they found that dedication to friends and family, sort of in a community, is what really gave the females the longer lifespan. So when the Japanese were young, they are paired with 4 or 5 friends from the neighborhood, and they dedicate to look after each other throughout life in terms of emotional, spiritual, physical, and even financial support. So this is something really incredible, and they keep these friends throughout life, ripe old ages through the hundreds. They're also very active, and they love to be outside gardening and having a little bit of sunlight to shine on their day. Next, we've got Ikaria, not sure how you pronounce that, but it's in Greece. Napping here with occasional fasting and drinking goat's milk may add years to the life of the inhabitants of this small Greek island. Next, we've got Sardinia in Italy. Here, something exciting, which I'm sure a lot of people will be interested in, they drink wine on a daily basis. Around about 5 p.m. every day. Yes. So, of course, not a whole bottle, a glass or maybe 2, paired with food, and of course, with company of your friends, family, or your community. Here, men enjoy the longest lifespan. Of course, their diet also plays a part into it. And just, again, being back into a natural life where they spend a lot of time doing actual work out in the gardens and the vineyards and things like that. Then you've got Costa Rica, which is Nicoya. Here they've got really, really rich water with calcium and magnesium, and this prevents heart disease and weak bones. And last but not least, we've got Loma Linda, which is in California. Here they have stress-reducing healthy diets, and it's something called the local Seventh-day Adventists. This is a religious group of people which has formed a community, and they basically eat a vegetarian diet, and they are taking health and wellness into their community, and it's spreading largely through California and through separate regions that have been nominated to trial and test the Blue Zone secrets. Okay, so that was a lot of information. So if we look at the commonalities between the 3 of the most studied blue zones, some of the ones, or 3 of the ones that I mentioned, again, Okinawa, here they have no time urgency, a likability of each other in their community, and turmeric featured quite highly, along with other medicinal plants that grow out of the ground because they're doing so much gardening. Here we also have a high soy consumption, no alcohol, and a very strong faith, mostly in Japan related to their ancestors and remembering their ancestors in times of stress. The three there that are highlighted in the middle with the soy, the no alcohol, and the faith, that ties in with Loma Linda, who also practiced no alcohol, as well as the healthy social circle and eating nuts on a daily basis. Moving across to the other side where you've got Sardinia, here are the ones that have the 5 o'clock drink, for those of you that love your glass of wine. High polyphenols there, is very antioxidant rich and really promotes a healthy, balanced life. And of course, a little bit of happiness and giggles. In between there, we have whole grains, and they are culturally isolated. And then of course, in the middle, in the center there, you'll see where Sardinia and Japan overcross, where you've got empowered women, a lot of sunshine and gardening. And in the very center, you've got the ones that are the common denominators for all of them. Family, no smoking, a plant-based diet, and constant moderate physical activity, as well as social engagement with your community, and legumes. All right, the Power 9 is what they've been categorized into. So for all of you sitting at home watching this thinking, well, I don't want to move to Okinawa and I definitely don't want to move to California, how can I do this from the comfort of my own home? So here we've broken them down into a few sections. We've got move, which is your natural movement. So it doesn't mean that you have to go pump iron at the gym. You can literally just be active. So if you're able to walk or cycle to work, if you're able to make your own garden, and just find a way to move naturally. Then you've got the right outlook. So here we have purpose. So again, in Japan, they refer to this as ikigai, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of because there's famous books out there. It's basically their purpose. It's what gets them up and running in the mornings. And then what's called a downshift. So everybody experiences stress. So this shift is taking that stress and getting it out before it causes inflammation or damage within us. So with this downshift, every separate country finds their own way. And the cool thing about this, Alyssa, is you can find anything that makes you happy and brings you back to peace. So for example, as I mentioned, in Japan, it could be speaking to the ancestors. In California, because it is a group that's very strong in their faith, it's prayer. And of course, in Sardinia, it's happy hour. So whatever it is that takes your stress away, just make sure it's balanced.
All right, so that's what they call it, downshift?
Yes, downshift. So it's kind of taking your stress and shifting it down a notch.
Right, something that makes you just happy. Right.
Yes, absolutely. And again, if we go back to the wine, not too much. You don't want to be too happy. It's just to take that edge off and get you to a point of relaxation. In Greece, for example, they have a nap. So it depends what helps you to unwind and de-stress. As long as you're not causing harm to yourself or to the people around you or to nature, we're good with you. All right, so that right outlook, of course, positive mindset comes into that as well. Then, of course, on the eating wisely, we've got quite a large section here. The 80% rule, this is where you should eat until you're 80% satisfied, not completely full and stuffed. This gives you space to neither put on weight, neither lose weight, but it just keeps you satisfied with enough food to nourish your body. Next, we've got the plant slant. So of course, in this modern day era where we have a lot of programs that are going keto and going very meat friendly, high fat diets, low carb, actually these 5 countries will put that out of the water and say absolutely not. They probably eat 20% meat, maybe 4 or 5 times in a month. And it seems to be mostly pork within all the 5 countries that we looked at, which is interesting for all of us because we of course normally go fish. Fish is obviously higher in Sardinia, so it is slightly different between all of them, but definitely we'll see in a bit. It's a large focus on plants. And then of course the wine at 5, we discussed 1 glass, 5 o'clock with food and friends and family. So that also encompasses an early dinner. And then the last one is connection. So here we look at what we've really lost in the modern day life. Here you need to find your right tribe, okay? People that are similar to you, focused on a healthy lifestyle, enjoy the things that you do, that you can spend time with outside of work and outside of home. Loved ones first. This goes to your family. So putting ourselves and our families first is important. In this day and age, we tend to get really wrapped up with 24/7 online to work, and we start to kind of, ignore our loved ones and not give them the attention that they deserve or that they need. So this is something that these 5 countries really do, and they make sure that their loved ones come first, even going to the extremes where they may have their grandparents and grandchildren living in the same house. And this is proven to actually lower childhood obesity and chronic diseases for children. So it could be something we need to look into again. And then the last one is the belonging. So belonging can be a community, whether it's based around faith or religion. It could be a community of sports. It could be a community of interests. Wherever you find a place where you belong and you have people with a similar interest as you, that feeling of being needed and wanted and belonging, this is an important thing for us too.
Okay. Yeah. So there's 9 components to this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes. Oh. So the lifestyle balance, it's called the Power 9. So if you had to adopt even one at a time into your lifestyle, you'll find yourself healthier, happier, and you'll add years to your life for each one.
I am 50% there.
Nice. Well done. Just got the other 50% to start working on.
I think I'm quite there, I think. Okay. Good to know that.
Fantastic. Good. All right. So if we look at the food guidelines, we'll just scan through a few of them. Monthly is where your meat and your dairy comes into it. Weekly would be your sugar, your eggs, and your fish. And then daily would be where we snack on our nuts, drink mostly water with tea and coffee and wine in moderation, daily doses of beans and legumes, and then go wholly whole. That it means single ingredients, either raw, cooked, ground, or fermented, and not highly processed. So less ingredients per meal, keep it simple. And again, 95 to 100% plant-based. We'll see this reflected in each country. For example, Okinawa in Japan got most of their diet focused around sweet potatoes, with smaller portions coming from others. In Greece, you've got your greens and other vegetables, plus fruits, legumes, and potatoes. Sardinia is very much based on whole grains, dairy, and vegetables. And then you've got Costa Rica with whole grains, dairy, vegetables, a little bit more added sugar than everybody else, but that actually comes from mostly root vegetables that they're eating, not the sugar that we think of, donuts and things. California, again, mostly vegetables, fruits, legumes, and a lesser amount of dairy. And all that's very confusing because they do have different aspects, but here it gives you basically a guideline where it's showing, once again, 65% from carbs, 20% from fats, and 15% from protein. And again, of course, looking at our own hereditary background and seeing what works for our culture over the years. So again, socializing over and above the food and the wine plays a big part in it. So it doesn't always have to be with what we're ingesting, but it can be linked to our environment as well. If we're in a happy environment with people that love us, want us, need us, and care for us, we're of course bound to live a longer, happier, more interesting life than if we had to try and do it alone. Moderate exercise, always going to be in there. This man was one of the 100-plus-year-old centenarians, and he's still swimming, gardening, walking, and cycling every day. Wouldn't we all love to be there? So the bottom line is, the blue zones are home to some of the oldest, healthiest, and happiest people. And again, to summarize, eating a plant-based diet, exercising regularly, drinking moderate amounts of alcohol, getting enough sleep, and having a good spiritual, family, and social networks all contribute to this. And something exciting, there are 24 Blue Zone projects currently on the way in America, where they've looked at a few things that they can change. And the adventurists, which are back again from Loma Linda in California, they are actually helping to get this out and about into all the communities. So the moai is again back to the Japanese, where they form these bonds at an early age. Walking school buses instead of sitting and driving to school for the children, active community events, and improving walking and biking trails around city centers so that it's more accessible and people don't need to go too far out in the country to be able to do these. And then, of course, what they have seen is a double-digit drop in obesity, smoking, and body mass index, millions of dollars of saving healthcare costs, and measurable drops in employee and absenteeism. And these range from anything to 3 years to 10 years in each region in America. So really, really good advancements that they're having across the board. And Alyssa, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you for sharing, Tamara. Interesting. I have a question. Actually, this word to me is actually quite new. You said that there's 24 BlueZone project, right? What is actually MOAS? Walking school buses, I know, active community plans. And can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Sure. So the moai is the name given to the community that the Japanese put together at a young age that will then support each other throughout their life and into their old age, where they'll get together to, do hobbies, discuss emotional or social problems. If they need financial help, that group will help them. It's normally 4 to 5 children that get paired together when they're young, and then they spend their life supporting each other, irrelevant of their family and connections and things like that. Just a community that they make to support each other, and they dedicate to each other. So it's like a marriage, but of 5 friends that are paired at youth.
Oh, okay. Since a very young age, they will practice this called moai. 5 of them from a young age, and they grow old together. And
correct,
like they stay in touch, and they will share their emotions, they will share what they're going through and all that. So meaning it's like a support system.
Exactly. So not only gossip, support system too.
So it's not like family members, it's out from family members.
Outside of your family.
I think
so it's like a given friends group.
Oh, okay. I'm actually quite when I first heard the word blue zones, right? I was thinking, what is this blue zone? Why is it blue, right? Actually, how they came about this name called blue zones?
So it's a really, really simple answer, really. When the gentlemen were doing the research, Dan Buter and his team, they literally circled the names of the places where they found the oldest living people with a blue pen, and they called them the blue zones from then on.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So I got it. All right.
Yeah, when I started looking at it the first time, I thought it was maybe something to do with Arctic and fish and, all these like fresh things and water and something, but no, it's just the color of the pen that they use to identify the 5 zones.
I see. So, okay. So I was like thinking, why is it called blue zones? And I think that just to recap, right? The power of 9, I think, is actually quite interesting, right? So
yes,
we got to move, which means that less cars. Maybe we go for biking, hiking, and more, walking daily. And I remember my grandmother used to walk every day until the age of 70, because my great grandmother lived until the age of almost 90 years old, right? Yeah. Wow. So that's something that I think they did it right? And I like the way you say the purpose, ikigai. In Japan, it's actually very famous with ikigai, right? And this
in Costa Rica, it's also famous, and it's called Plan de Vida. So also really nice. Plan de Vida. So reason to live is what it translates to. Plan de Vida.
Plan de Vida.
So it's almost like planning your life. Plan de Vida.
Plan de Vida. All right, I learned another word. Plan de Vida. Plan de Vida, right?
Yes.
And I like the part when you say downshift, right? That how all of us would like to actually take a nap every now and then, right, in the afternoon. I think that is something good, because even in a Chinese family like us, right? Last time my grandma used to take a nap, so I thought it's actually for old people. So when we grow old, right? We wake up very early, we can't sleep so late at night, so we sleep at about 8, so we wake up at 4, and then we need to take a nap at 2, kind of thing. So I thought it's only for old people, right? But
No,
I think it's
but
not.
there's definitely secrets to longevity. If we have to watch our old people, our grandmas, our grandpas, and we can really see the things they do and actually we think it's because they're old, but actually if we check with them, they've been doing it their whole lives, because it was very different when they were growing up, and a lot of the things that they did all day were more physical. So of course they were more exhausted, and they probably did have that glass of wine with their lunch, and then they went for a little siesta, and all of those things added to that long and happy life.
I think I love the best when you say we can drink, but just one glass like an apple a day keeps the doctors away, right? Yeah,
correct.
Just a glass.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. So 80% rule, whereby you just have to satisfy your, go satisfied but not really full, right? Not on a full tummy.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. Yeah, nice. So then you come to plant, more on plant-based. I saw that actually carbohydrate ratio is quite high. 65% is actually quite high, right?
Again, Alyssa, so the way we see carbohydrates is we look at it as bread, pasta, rice, things like that. Whereas when they're looking at carbohydrates, they're looking at really your whole grains. So your beans, your lentils, your legumes, your potatoes, your starchy tuber root vegetables from inside the ground, like sweet potato. So that's where they're getting their carbohydrate sources from. Whereas nowadays we've changed our carbohydrate source to a much more processed, very wheat and gluten high carbohydrates. So if we go back to the wholesome grains, of course, when it comes to beans, you need to soak them like for 24 hours, and you need to boil them, throw away the water, boil them again, and then you can mix them with what you're having and eat them. So it's quite a process to break down the outer shell so that to not get digestive issues and problems along the way. And of course, when we're starting to change our diet to this kind of way, you need to do it gradually because we're not used to it. So we need to give our systems time to adjust and adapt slowly.
Right. Okay. All right. That's a good tip. So we need to actually, if you want to change, you have to change it gradually, right? Not all
Absolutely.
of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So unwind after a hard day work at 5 o'clock, right? Wine. And I like this one very much, right track, which means that you actually find people who can click with you, and like what you mentioned, maybe the Moai, is it called Moai?
Moai, yes.
Moai is something like that, similar to the right tribe, right? That you created, you share the same thing, you maybe share the same hobby, right? Am I right to say that?
Yeah. And with them, it's not so much because they were paired as children. It's more a commitment that they honor rather than a social group. But of course, because they're growing up in the same community, they then learn to do things together, and they create those things that they enjoy together with each other.
But you know what? It's actually so difficult to actually stay in touch with somebody that, people change and you go to different school after a certain age, and then you graduate and you get married. So actually it's not easy to upkeep to Moai system, right? Moai, right.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the questions that came up with the studies. They said, we've come so far apart from the way most of these little small villages live and interact. And of course, that's why I'm trying as best as we can to adopt. So it's better to try to connect. They say we have around a 0 to 5 kilometer radius where we work, shop, live, and all those things. And we need to try and find a community and our tribe within that area so that we have more time and availability to socialize with them without going too far across the world or across the country, or turning to social media and connecting on Skype and Zoom, which has its place, but when it's for something like this, it really needs to be one-on-one human contact.
I agree with you on the human contact. I think too much social media and whatnot is actually not healthy as well, right? And of course, having loved ones around us is so important, right? And the next one will be belonging. We have a sense of belonging. So I love how the Power 9 is connected into, I think, 5 categories that we have: move, right outlook, eat wisely, and connect. Am I right?
4 categories, yes.
Yes, 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, 4. Okay.
4 categories, yeah.
right?
You never know,
outlook.
they might add to them, but this is the basis and the foundation.
Oh, okay. All right. Foundation. Good, good. It's so interesting, Tamara. I think, you opened up it opened up my eyes. Actually, initially when I had you to talk about blue zones, right? I actually wanted to do a bit more research, but I think I want to listen from you more so that I could understand it better. Yeah. But thank you so much for your time sharing with us. I'm sure all our audience today would want to actually practice, but practice gradually. Like what Tamara said, we don't change all of a sudden, right? We have to change gradually so that we don't stress ourselves emotionally or maybe physically. Am I right, Tamara?
Yes, absolutely. And a key thing to remember is also most of these people don't know when they were asked why they lived so long or why they're older than other communities, they don't have the answer. So a key note here is to remember that they weren't focusing on longevity and all these things. They were just living life. So although we must know what we need to do, we mustn't allow it to overtake our day. And we're constantly, focusing on being happy and living longer and being healthier. We just need to know what we need to do and do it, and then not think too much about it.
Right. Okay. So let's all live a better and healthier life. And, most important, I think, is we need to be happy what we are doing, right? All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tamara. And, thank you everyone for being with us as well today. I'm sure that Tamara is going to share with us some link right later. And maybe you can read more about blue zones and start practicing, and let's all live a longer and healthier life. And thank you so much for tuning in for today's session. Thank you so much. I'm signing off now together with Tamara.
Thank you, Alyssa.
Thanks again, Tamara.
Bye-bye.
Bye.